Number 10. Upper Big Branch Mine. Back in 2010, a West Virginia coal mine exploded, burying 38 miners 1,000 feet underground. To put things into perspective, the Eiffel Tower is 1,060 feet tall. The accident was a consequence of several safety violations. The ventilation systems weren't maintained properly, leading to an accumulation of methane in the mine. In 2015, Massey Energy CEO Don Blankenship was accused and convicted of a misdemeanor due to his role in enabling these infractions. One miner was rushed to the ER by helicopter and 2 others by ambulance. One of the survivors described the experience as being stuck in the middle of a tornado. Number 9. Pasta de CONCHOS. In 2006, a methane explosion claimed the lives of 65 miners in a coal mine in the state of Coahuila in Mexico. The workers became trapped underground and only 2 bodies were recovered. Miners had gone on strikes against the Grupo Mexico, the company in charge of the operations, 14 times before the accident. They had reported several security and health issues throughout the years. Though the Mexican government stopped the recovery efforts soon after the accident, the investigation was reopened on February the 18th of 2020 after years of public outcries and international pressure. Families of the victims blamed the company for trying to cover up the terrible working conditions that had led to the tragedy. Mining consists of extracting valuable minerals and materials from the ground. These may include metals, coal, gems, limestone, chalk, clay, and rock salt, among others. It also consists of the extraction of petroleum and natural gas. The 2 main techniques, depending on the material that's meant to be gathered, are surface mining and underground mining. Number 8. HPAKANT Jade Mine. On the 2nd of July 2020, disaster struck the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, previously known as Burma. A landslide led to the death of 174 people and the disappearance of 100 additional miners. 54 others were gravely injured in the accident. These victims were independent jade pickers tailing behind large operators. They scavenged through the excavated rubble, hoping to earn a living. Authorities warned the miners to evacuate the area due to the heavy rain season, but most chose to continue their activities. Heavy storms led to mining waste falling into a nearby lake. It generated 20-foot-tall waves of mud and water that buried the miners alive. The incident was caught on video. Several witnesses watched in horror as jade pickers cried for help, drowning in the thick mud. As of the recording of this video, it's unknown how many miners actually perished in the disaster. Number 7. ULYANOVSKAYA Mine. The ULYANOVSKAYA mine explosion was considered the deadliest disaster in Russia for over a decade. It occurred back in 2007 when an explosion caused by accumulated methane gas or coal dust killed at least 108 miners. After the accident, authorities revealed that there had been several safety rule violations and that 60 coal mines in the area would be inspected to avoid further disasters. Investigators discovered that the mine's equipment had been tampered with so that the readings of methane levels remained low. This allowed the company in charge of the operation to make a higher profit, but failed to provide workers with warning signs to avoid the lethal explosion. There are mining activities all around the globe. Depending on the region's geographical and geological characteristics, it may involve different types of extraction. Surface mining involves removing vegetation, dirt, and sometimes layers of rocks. There are different techniques, such as mountaintop removal, open pit, landfill, and strip mining. Underground mining involves tunnels and shafts. It can reach deeper levels with horizontal access tunnels, diagonal slopes, or vertical holes. Pillars are often used to support the structure of the tunnels. Number 6. ZENICA Mine. In September of 2014, 34 miners were trapped inside a coal mine in the European country of Bosnia and Herzegovina. A 3.5 Richter scale earthquake had struck the city of ZENICA and produced a rock avalanche inside the excavation. A rescue team soon arrived at the site of the accident and provided oxygen to the trapped workers. Sadly, 5 of the 34 miners were killed in the disaster. The other 29 men were resurfaced soon after the incident, all suffering from minor injuries. Number 5. COURRIÈRES mine. Considered Europe's worst mining disaster, the explosion that occurred in northern France back in 1906 killed 1,099 workers. Though the exact cause remains unknown, the detonator was determined to have been coal dust. The explosion was so powerful that one of the elevator cages shot up to the surface. Fire spreading through the mine and the collapsing walls were considered to have caused the majority of deaths. 600 miners escaped, many of them severely injured, and 13 other survivors were discovered 20 days after the accident. The Compagnie des Mines des Courrières was the company in charge of the operation. In the past, workers from other mining sites had accused the operator of terrible working conditions. Miners endure plenty of occupational hazards that may be deadly both in the short and long term. Respiratory illnesses are common, and miners are also being exposed to harmful substances. Pneumoconiasis, or dusty lung disease, occurs almost exclusively in people involved with mining activities, leading to disability and early death. Heat stress is also a common problem for miners, since they have to deal with constant, humid and hot environments. It produces fatigue and distress, heat strokes, and debilitating long-term health problems. Natural disasters such as tremors and earthquakes also cause lethal accidents. Explosions, which might occur due to negligence, gases being released and ignited, and a myriad of other reasons, can lead to the collapsing of tunnels or failure of ventilation systems. That's in addition to the force of the explosion itself, which may cause the death and injury of the miners. Hearing loss is also a common side effect of the job, as are back injuries due to constant heavy lifting. Mining can also affect people living in the surrounding areas, leading to the loss of biodiversity, illnesses, contamination, and soil erosion. If the waste produced isn't correctly disposed of, it often results in irredeemable consequences for the habitat and the people living in nearby cities and towns. Number 4. SUNJLAWAN. The SUNJLAWAN mine, located in northeastern China, was the site of a gas explosion that caused the death of 214 miners. The tunnels were 794 feet deep, the equivalent of a 73-story high building. The explosion is considered to have been set off by a powerful earthquake that shook the mine. Gas detectors malfunctioned, and workers failed to notice one of the pits filling with smoke. 22 other miners were injured and 13 more were trapped underground. Chinese mines are considered to be the deadliest worldwide, with more than 6,000 deaths in 2004 alone. Number 3. EYNEZ coal mine. A massive explosion created a seemingly unstoppable underground fire in the EYNEZ coal mine in May of 2014. A fire that burned for more than 2 days killed 301 miners. This incident is considered to be the worst in Turkish history. At the time of the explosion, 787 miners were at the site. 486 workers survived, though several politicians claimed the figure was lower, with up to 39 deaths being hidden. The explosion started 1.2 miles underground. The eruption caused the elevator to fail. Many workers died of carbon monoxide poisoning as they were unable to escape the mine. Several rescue crews arrived at the site of the accident and provided oxygen to keep the survivors trapped underground alive. Today's topic was requested by DLDN. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. There are several ways of preventing accidents and illnesses related to mining. Dust inhalation is a common concern and may lead to black lung disease. Companies in most countries are required to develop dust control plans and train workers to avoid breathing in hazardous substances. Different types of respiratory protection can be used to diminish this risk. Exposure to constant loud noises can cause tinnitus or ringing in the ears, insomnia, and loss of hearing. Panels are often installed to diminish the vibrations, and personal hearing protection is mandatory. Whole body vibration happens to miners working with heavy machinery and usually leads to damage to the reproductive organs, bones and muscles, as well as digestive and vision problems. Proper maintenance of the equipment and offering training to all workers is required to avoid these issues. When miners are aware of the dangers and offered proper safety wear, and the tunnels are kept adequately ventilated, many of the risks surrounding this activity can be minimized or avoided. Number 2. SAGO Mine. Located in West Virginia, the SAGO mine was the site of an accident that kept 13 miners trapped underground for over 2 days. There was only one survivor. It caused a public uproar when misleading information was leaked to the press. 12 workers were said to have been rescued, giving false hope to the victims' families and friends. The mining company in charge of the operations took over 90 minutes to call for a rescue team. Randall L. McCloy Jr., the lone survivor, suffered from a myriad of health complications. He had a collapsed lung, as well as several muscle injuries, brain hemorrhaging, and carbon monoxide poisoning. His heart and liver functions were severely affected. It took McCloy months of physical therapy to recover. Even so, he was left with permanent damage to his vision and hearing. Number 1. Chilean mining disaster. Widely covered by the local and international press, the Chilean mining accident at Copiapo in 2010 had the world sitting on the edge of their seats for 69 days. 33 miners were trapped 2,300 feet underground after an explosion. Rescue teams were initially unable to locate them, and thus investigators believed the accident had left no survivors. 17 days after the initial explosion, a note was found taped to the resurfaced drill. It read, "We are well in the shelter, the 33 of us." A special capsule was built to retrieve the miners. It was only 21 inches wide and provided tight trips to the surface, lasting between 9 and 18 minutes each. It's estimated that roughly 1 billion viewers worldwide watched the rescue efforts via video streaming. All 33 miners were miraculously saved. Though they received months of physical therapy, many of them suffered from long-term health complications after the incident. Thanks for watching. Would you rather be trapped in an underground mine or try to survive underwater for 3 minutes? Let us know in the comments section below.